sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Some mix of bite down boxing as well as just an observation on media, the world today, online, social media, so on and so forth. So, Stephen A. Smith. And this is relevant because I caught a video I saw a video of Fight Hype, where they just rip somebody else's content from their social media posts and put it out there as news. Interesting tactic. But I saw where yesterday Claressa Shields didn't, and it's the way that they titled it. So Fight Hype says Claressa Shields checks Stephen A. Smith. All we do in this thing is pit each other against one another. Constantly tension, beef, hatred. Just pit people against one another and get a reaction out of it. What's up, D Branch? Soon to be Strike 7 Sports. But that's all we do is look for conflict. And conflict sells. And so Claressa Shields says that she goes off, Stephen A. should respect this and allow me to do this and blah, 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 and he hating. And I might be paraphrasing some of her statements wrong, but so that was yesterday. I left a comment on the Fight Hype video, and then I'm listening to the Ak and Barak show because he said he doesn't prefer women's boxing. He said he doesn't like to see women in combat sports. He doesn't like to see women punching one another in the face. So then I'm listening to the Ak and Barak show today, and they play the clip from where the audio originated of Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith appears on Larry Wilkins, the brother the comedian. He has a podcast called Black on Air. And he had Stephen A. Smith on there, and Stephen, they got around to women in sports, acting, Becky Hammond being a head coach of the Spurs potentially. It's a couple of females around the NFL who have become full-time position coaches or assistant position coaches or something. And so he was talking about that, and then Stephen A. veered off into, he didn't like to see women punching each other in the face. So Ak and Barak played this clip on their show. Stephen A. giving his opinion. We got to quit going at people for their opinions or for expressing their opinions because all we doing is podcasts. All we have is YouTube channels. All we do in this country is give our perspective and our views, our point of views. But now when people say things, you want to hate them. But Stephen A. did not say, he even finished his thought with, I'm surprised I haven't seen any live streams talking about it yet. It'll be out there. But Stephen A. even finished his talking point with, I would not go out and support any legislation, or I wouldn't push for any legislation to outlaw women participating in combat sports. He said, it's just not for me. So if I sit here and say I'm not into open wheel car racing versus NASCAR, or if I'm not into the rodeo, Pabst Blue Ribbon Rodeo, that's not hating on anybody. That's not discriminating against white cowboys. That's not discriminating against European drivers with the open wheel stuff and favoring NASCAR. That's my personal opinion. And that's what kills me in this country, because we act like because certain things create money, somebody can make $1 off of something, we just supposed to eventually just accept it. It's like with the WNBA, if you're not into it, folks assumed you're an anti-women in sports. Exactly. And so, like I said, to come out here now and bring some smoke for Stephen A. because he doesn't care for women's boxing, that's BS. And we also got to think about this. Ak and Barak, they don't have a fight to talk about this week. They don't have a fight to spit. They got 5 times 3. They got 15 hours of radio time to kill this week with no fight. So we got to think of something to talk about. We got to get some calls in here. We got to get some social media hits. Well, I know we can do this. We can play this Stephen A audio and get a reaction out of people. So we'll do that. That's going to burn 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes for us right there. And that's what I'm saying. It's just, to me, it's irresponsible to go out here and put certain stuff out here and act like it's an issue, and to charge people up against other individuals. That's dangerous to me. Now, Barack on the show, Barack did lay it out there that that's Stephen A's opinion, and pointed out he didn't say that it shouldn't be women's boxing. He didn't say women shouldn't be in combat sports. Shout out to Chicago's Jessica McCaskill, because she actually spoke on it yesterday when she was on the Ak and Barack show and said exactly how I feel. She wouldn't waste any energy or time with addressing Stephen A. Smith in any way whatsoever. That's his opinion. He's entitled to that. And I got to go out here as a female boxer. She said her job is to go out there and give people a reason to tune in. And if there are people out there who don't want to tune in, that's their prerogative. But that's what she's chosen to do with her life. So if someone is giving her the opportunity to go do it, then you just go do it, and you don't worry about some random person. Now, Misha Tate, who has a show on Fight Nation on Sirius XM, Misha Tate's perspective was, if Stephen A goes out in his role as a news person or an ESPN personality, in doing his job, he should uplift all sports. I disagree with that. And again, he did not say that women shouldn't be fighting. He said that was not his preference. But I disagree. If Stephen A goes to appear on somebody's podcast and he's asked a number of questions for over an hour, he can say what the hell he wants to say. I just would hope that he wouldn't go out there and, say anything that's flagrantly disrespectful. Or like if he did go out there and say, I got a problem with anybody watching women's boxing. He didn't say that. He just said he didn't say it. Now, also for Misha Tate to say that that's his job, it's been several months since Stephen A was a part of ESPN boxing. And that would have been interesting if Michaela Mayer had a fight, which I think she did have at least one fight when Stephen A was still a part of ESPN's boxing coverage. But what would he say? But I think he's enough as a professional. Why we want to come for him and bring all the smoke to him for everything he says day to day. He is enough of a professional to sit there and analyze that particular fight and put aside his personal preferences and whatnot towards women fighting. He will sit there and do his job and say what he's observed during that fight. It was another thing. Yesterday, speaking of Stephen A. Smith, and that's another thing, man, we got to quit attacking people because of one area that we disagree with. At least we can't do it so fervently. What I saw yesterday, I don't watch ESPN Daily, but he was actually on there on First Take. They took out the time to, they kind of dedicated the show to him with it being Black History Month and whatnot. They had some different cuts to his alma mater, Winston-Salem State University. He got a basketball scholarship or whatever. He went there to play basketball under, what's his name? Big Gaines Johnson, the coach that passed away. I don't think it's Clarence. Clarence Big Game. I forget his name. But anyway, he has a scholarship there for like journalists or journalism. He goes back and speaks to the school regularly. He mentors some people there, some kids there, some students there. he does different things and raises money and participates in different events for them, that help with their bottom line probably. And so sometimes, man, we got to take a second and understand why you might have some smoke for any one particular individual over one particular issue or one thing that they said. That person might be very important to another larger body of people. And I think for anybody that's any journalism students, if you're able to get a chance to chop it up with Stephen A., whether you agree with how he does his job or not, if Stephen A. could sit there and talk about going from being in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Inquirer, I believe is what it's called. If you can go from there to covering wrestling in high school and high school sports, work your way up to the Philadelphia 76ers and the Eagles and the Philadelphia Phillies, and then you can start becoming the ESPN local guy to come on and talk about matters in in Philadelphia, sports matters in Philadelphia. And then if you can leave the Philadelphia Inquirer to move over to ESPN full time, and then have a number of different shows that you create and be the host of, you go on ESPN radio for a couple of stints and do some shows over, 4, 5, 6 years there. And then you get on to a program like First Take and completely revolutionize like sports talk and become a guy that's making $3 to $6 million a year to talk your shit. I don't know how you argue with that. Whether you want to call him Uncle Tom or a coon or whatever, you can't please everybody. I disagree with him quite often, but it's not. I don't have that much energy to really go at the man on some of his stuff. Some of his stuff he's flat out ignorant on or ignorant about. And he'll never turn down a discussion. He'll never turn down an argument or a debate because he's that confident in himself. But one person can't know everything. But I don't know, man. I just think I thought it was kind of a bad look for Claressa Shields, to not even understand what the man said fully, and then to go speak on it for like 25, 27 minutes on your Instagram or whatever it was, and you didn't even understand what the man, you so caught up in coming for somebody and lashing out at somebody, and you don't even, your whole argument is wrong because you started off with the wrong assumption. Which brings me to my last bit of stuff before I get on out of here. It's crazy that Stephen A., why didn't she contact him directly instead of Instagram? That would make too much sense. People like one-way conversation. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to be honest with you, D Branch, since you on here, man. I emailed her, I IM'd her. I broke down and IM'd her and told her where I was from. I'm one of the few independent dudes in the area that have been up to Michigan for every event that she's had. Paid my own money to travel up there. I've interviewed her 2 or 3 times in person. And, I talk about your fights on my channel. I've written articles about your fights and previewed your fights. I've talked about your television numbers. I actually spend time talking about you. Can I please get 20 minutes of your time so that we can talk about your March 5th Herstory event where you're going for your undisputed title at junior middleweight? Of course I ain't hear back from her. That's the way it goes. But one thing that I was looking at, I broke down. It's amazing that, and this is why I'm even more of a fan of Stephen A. at this point and more pro Stephen A. Probably than I was previously, because I'm sitting here and I'm watching so I saw where Brian Custer, Showtime Boxing, I think he does CBS Sports Radio. I know he does radio for some major outlet. But Brian Custer, who does the Last Stand podcast, who's here on YouTube, he was on Barbershop Conversations with Fred. And then Fred brings in this cat named Drew Titan, who's becoming like a leading voice in among black boxing fans. And of course, Drew's favorite topic is to continue to prosecute. Yeah, man. Yeah. Drew's favorite, his major talking point is to continue to prosecute Tyson Fury and to have him declared guilty of cheating Deontay Wilder in their February 22nd rematch. He's presented no proof, really. He's talked very aggressively to a number of individuals, Sugar Hill, Javon Sugar Hill Stewart being one. He was on here being respectful with Brian Custer, but he reiterates the same bit of loose facts that he has and that he thinks means something, even in the court of law. And if you look at the comments, like every brother in the comment to a man consider everything that Drew Titan says to be word is bond. Like it's the rule. It's factual. It's ironclad evidence. Like you've told everything that needs to be known for everybody. And Brian Custer just listened to the man. And one brother down in the comment section said, I don't know why Brian is sitting there like not taking a stance on this, not realizing that all of this, not realizing that everything happened was some bullshit. And I'm like, well, maybe Brian Custer has a different burden of proof. Just because you eating out of the hand of Drew, not all of us are buying any of these statements that keep getting made. You just keep repeating the same thing. You haven't said anything credible. You don't have a smoking gun. Matter of fact, what you're saying is really not even that sound logically. So this is when I'm sitting here. I'm just sitting here like when some people sit here and attack a person like Stephen A., who's paid his dues, who literally wrote his way out the hood, who wrote his way into ESPN, doing his job daily. And dudes on Twitter and on social media just sit around and tear these brothers down and attack these cats, largely because they're not where these individuals sit. And like I was trying to tell the one brother, along with burden of proof, like there are some things in boxing that the protocol and different facts and if I'm Brian Custer and that's how I make my money, that's how I earn a living, I need more than accusation. You know what I'm saying? So as I get ready to finish, the one thing that I had to absolutely fall out of my chair and laugh uncontrollably on the ground is that this Drew cat goes from telling Brian Custer that Wilder was cheated. He done moved on from like him being drugged and the water being spiked, and his story, his reasons have all evolved and changed and shit. But he goes on to say, you know what? This is hilarious to even repeat it. He goes on to say that he now believes, in retrospect and watching all of this and listening and learning more about boxing, he now believes Anthony Joshua was poisoned on the night that Andy Ruiz knocked him out. What do you do with that? I don't even know what I would say if you are, but because I can't say the average person or if you're a regular person, but I mean, if you're a critical thinker, what do you do with that? Out of thin air, this brother just pulls, I now believe Anthony Joshua was poisoned. That was what? That was 16 months ago or something, or that was June of 2019. Here it is, February of 2021, and now you just sit here and say Anthony Joshua was poisoned, and nobody questions it. Nobody says anything. And his whole reasoning is, his whole justification is he received a call from somebody working security at the at Madison Square Garden, and this person witnessed or observed. Yeah, bro, exactly. This person observed Anthony Joshua walking around with no shoes on. That's what makes this real, because he didn't have no shoes on. He's walking around with no shoes on, talking on the phone. And then Drew goes on to say that, well, Anthony Joshua said, "Why do I feel like this in the corner?" Don't bring up the fact that he got smacked around, that he caught this left hook. I thought it was a left hook. That he caught this left hook to his temple and was in bad shape for, for 3 rounds, for the next 3 rounds. That had nothing to do with it. He was poisoned. Despite the fact that he knocked Andy Ruiz down in the 3rd round for the first time in Andy Ruiz's career. He was perfect. But in the 5th or 6th round, when he said, "Why do I feel like this?" That's when he was poisoned. You can't keep moving the goalposts around like this, man. And so what Brian Custer is not falling a victim to, because he makes his living from boxing, there has to be some of these things being said have to be able to carry water, versus this being your feelings and your opinion. He's allowed to have an opinion, but Stephen A. Smith and everything that he's accomplished in the sports broadcasting world and sports journalism, Stephen A. can't say anything. This place is crazy, man. Anyway, my name is Wood. I ran over longer than what I even wanted to talk about, but we got to understand when somebody says something, we got to understand what they're talking about before we rush to go in and tear them down, chop them down, drag them out, sully their name and their reputation, and then call them all of these names, ostracize them, and all that stuff. We have to understand where people are coming from and what they really said, and be able to discern information versus just sitting around clapping at people all the time to get clicks and super chats and things of that nature. But that's just my opinion on it, man. What do I know? Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. 1.